Welcome to the tutorial on how to make a stocking. As you can see by this wall of stockings, there are many ways in which to embellish or decorate a stocking. A wide array of styling and designing are utilized by our grandmas, including but not limited to appliquing, piecing, strips, embroidery, crochet, needlepoint, cross-stitching, as well as embellishment. Putting the stocking together involves assembling all the supplies needed. The pattern size for the stocking will be 18 inches by 10.5, and the cuff will be 9 by 4. You will need fabric, lining, a stocking-shaped pattern, batting, cuff material, ribbon, a Made with Love by Grandma label, a cross, and embellishments. The stocking and cuff patterns are provided to you when you attend a grandma's workshop. You will also need an iron, pins, scissors, marker, 6-inch ruler, needle, and thread. A lighted magnifying glass is helpful for those who need assistance threading the fine beading needle. Step 2 involves the fabric. Let's first talk about some of the fabrics you can use. Cottons, felt, denim, corduroy, flannel, and lightweight upholstery fabrics. You will need at least 1/3 yard of any of the mentioned fabrics for the actual stocking. We prefer Christmas-themed fabric, but we will work with any fabric or design. If you choose a fabric with a specific design, you may need a little more yardage. Whichever fabric you choose, make sure it is clean without spots or tears and is ironed. It is much easier to lay out and cut fabric that lays flat without wrinkles. Step 3, spread out your fabric on a flat surface and put the stocking pattern on it for tracing. Our stockings are shaped as an L, so the pattern should be placed on the fabric with the toe facing to the right for the front and the toe facing to the left, or a J-shaped, for the back. If it is design specific, make sure you have your pattern centered exactly over the design you want. It is helpful to remember to put the fold of the fabric to your right or left when cutting fabric with directional design. The top 4 inches of the front of the stocking will be covered up with the cuff, so keep that in mind with the placement of your pattern. If there are linear lines or squares or repetitive designs, make sure they are lined up top to bottom and left to right, so when the stocking hangs, it will not look crooked. If there are linear lines or squares or repetitive designs, make sure they are lined up top to bottom and left to right. So when the stocking hangs, it will not look crooked or wonky. Pay attention to the design and nap of the fabric. You want both the front and the back to be the right side of the fabric.
This is upside down.
Step 4 is the lining. Our choice for lining material is either muslin or bed sheets, new or used, but other materials can be used. Just make sure it is lightweight and easy to sew. The important thing here is that the lining and the fabric are cut using the same pattern. Place the stocking pattern on the lining and use the same steps as with the stocking material. Set the lining aside.
Okay, next is
Step 5 is the batting. We suggest using cotton batting as it doesn't melt when pressed. However, polyester low loft batting works too. Place the stocking pattern on the batting, trace around it, and then cut it out. You only need one batting per stocking. Now place the batting on the back side of the front stocking.
It's not there.
And pin it into place. Baste or machine stitch 1/4 inch or less from the edge all around the stocking to keep the batting in place.
Show the back.
We don't want the basting stitch to show when the finished seam is sewn. Set the stocking aside. Place the pattern. Trace around it with the marker. Don't worry about the marker lines because these are the cutting lines and will not be seen in the finished stocking. Remove the pattern. Proceed with cutting out the stocking following the traced lines. Set the stockings aside. Step 6 is the label. This will be affixed to the back of the stocking, centered and 2.5 or 3 inches below the top edge. Stitch all 4 sides of the label. Set the back aside. We're going on to the cuff. Step 7, the cuff is a flap on the front of the stocking where we put the child's name to personalize it and make it their own. The material used for the cuff can be felt or fabric. If using felt, use the cuff pattern marked felt. The cuff bottoms can be scalloped, straight, or jagged. Note that you cut only one per stocking since there is only one layer needed. Choose a color that goes along with the stocking fabric. If using fabric for the cuff, use the cuff pattern marked fabric. Ensure that the fabric you choose is easy to sew, plain and or free from bold designs, and complements the stocking fabric. Follow the directions on the cuff pattern for placement on the right side of the fabric on the fold. Trace around the cuff with the marker. Remove the pattern and cut out the cuff. Now with the right sides together, stitch up the sides 1/4 inch. Then turn it right side out and press. The cuff will be 3/4 inch narrower than the finished size of the stocking. And you can set the cuff aside. Step 8 is the cross. There are a variety of different crosses that can be utilized. We buy a packet of the metal ones from Hobby Lobby. There are also crosses made from fabric in some stores. The cross is attached to the left bottom on the corner on the front of the cuff. Attach using either double thread or a quilting thread to make sure that it is well secured. Set that aside. Step 9 is the ribbon. This ribbon will be the hanging loop for the stocking. Select a ribbon which complements the stocking and the cuff. We use a satin or grosgrain type of ribbon, 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch wide. Cut the embellishing or decorating the stocking. This is the point where one asks themselves if the stocking is speaking to them, and if so, what is it saying? As mentioned earlier, there are many ways to embellish a stocking. If appliquing, This would be the point where you would attach the applique to the front of the stocking. Embellishments can then be sewn on top of it. Do not use glue to secure the embellishments. When attaching any embellishments, stay at least 1/2 inch away from the edge to allow for the seams. Needles break when they catch an embellishment while sewing the fronts and the backs together. You will need a fine needle when working with beads. Beading needles work, but test the needles you have on hand before going out and purchasing a beading needle. This is where that lighted magnifying glass comes in handy. Use a double thread or a quilting thread to attach each sequence, securing it with a bead. For the safety of our children, do not use anything that has a sharp point or can be easily broken. Some of the children for whom we make stockings have been badly abused and are prone to trying to harm themselves. Snowflakes, trees, stars, or leaves need to have their arms tacked down so that they won't get bent up. Remember to leave the top 4 inches of the stocking free of embellishment, as it will be covered up with the cuff. You may set that aside. We are now ready to put the stocking together. For assembly of the stocking, you will have an embellished front, a back with a label sewn in place, a cuff with a cross sewn in place, ribbon, and your lining. You will also want to have an iron ready for pressing the final product. There are 2 ways you can assemble your stocking. You can use whichever method you prefer. The first method we'll show you is the flower pot style. Pin the stocking front and back together, right sides together. Now take your stocking, front and back, and stitch, but you want to make sure you leave the top open. Use a 1/4 inch seam. Stitch the stocking, front and back together using a 1/4 inch seam. Be sure you leave the top open. Now, pin the lining front and back, right sides together. the lining pieces together using a 1/4 inch seam. Leave the top open. Make sure you leave a 4-inch opening at the toe or the side of the lining for your hand to turn the piece out inside out at the proper time. Clip the curves on both the stocking and the lining. Be careful that you do not clip through the stitch line. Right side out. Put the stocking inside the lining. Right sides together. And make sure the toes and the heels are matched up. Pin the cuff to the front of the stocking.
Yeah, talk.
Did you put the cuff in there?